Okay, everybody, very good morning. Can you hear me loud and clear? If you can, just give me a shout out. Say hey, say hi, say as Simon says, happy Friday. Yeah. So if you can hear me loud and clear, gang, just a bit of a touch so that I know that you've got me nice and loud. Patrick, very nice. Jaya, very nice. Sing Yang, Simon, Erdalia, hey, very good. Okay, so we're ready to rock and roll, all right, gang? Good morning, Nisa. Nice, very nice. Okay, David, nice. Wave you back. All right, Joe. Now, thank you so much, SHRDC, for inviting me here today. And the Resilience Leadership series that we have created for you is amazing. There's just so much stuff that we want to share in this space regarding leadership, regarding team, and really getting the best out of our team potential that we couldn't fit it all into one session, 1 hour. So there are actually 3 sessions. So I do hope you join us for all 3. It will really take your mind to another level, especially if you have employees, you've got teams that are working at home, they're virtual, or they're teams overseas, and you've got extended team members and you don't know how to be able to manage them. This is the series for you. All right, very nice. Thank you Hong. Nice, very good morning. Thank you. Now, before I get into today's topic on resilience leadership, yeah, in this term that has been bantered about so much, yeah, what I want to do is I want to share a little bit with you about who we are. All right, the Spark Group Asia, we really have been hard at work. You can't imagine, the last year and a half has been crazy for SMEs, multinational companies, small, medium, large, all the way up. It's just been crazy, the kind of changes that we had to undergo in the last year and a half. How many of you had a blast in the last year and a half? Did you have an awesome year, or was it like oh my gosh, there's been so much going on? If there has been a lot going on, that's the work that we've been doing, because at the Spark Group Asia, we actually come from a few international accreditations. So if you've heard of Neurosemantics and MetaCoach Foundation, this is actually a research institute that was formed by Dr. Michael Hall, based in Texas. We take a lot of what you're going to see today is from Dr. Michael himself. All right. So where we talk about neurosemantics, which is the maximization of human potential. Okay. And that's very much the leadership space. I will also introduce to you today AccuMatch. AccuMatch is a behavior intelligence tool, and I'm going to show you lots of it today. And the last company that we're also affiliated with is Action Coach, if you've heard of it before, formulated by a man named Brad Sugars, all the way since 1993, and also based in the United States. All right, so this is a little bit about the Spark Group Asia before we run in. This is a little bit about me. Thank you so much, Marissa, for giving that introduction earlier. So my name is Marissa. I've been doing this for 13 years, all right, turning around businesses, working with leaders, entrepreneurs. My past background, I'm actually a banker. So my last stint as an investment banker in corporate finance and commercial banking credit was 2008 in CIMB. All right. And then before that, so that's my past life. All right. So this is a little bit about myself. I have a team. The Spark Group Asia has coaches. We have a team in Malaysia. We have a team in Vietnam. We have a team in Singapore as well. So we're hard at work working with businesses that want to transform. And it couldn't be a better time now in this pandemic to transform. All right. So, and I'll tell you why very shortly. This is a little bit about me. Earlier in the week, I don't know if any of you caught my show. I was again invited onto Bernama TV to comment on millennials in the middle management. That was just Tuesday. So if you can still catch it on YouTube, it went live and go watch it. But I've been on Bernama a few times. And these are 2 of my books. If you're interested, my first book, 2014, that I wrote, Guide to Starting a Business. That's for those of you who are interested in the journey of entrepreneurship. Don't worry, I give you the good, bad, and the ugly in there. All right, more ugly. So be prepared to be an entrepreneur. There's a lot of stuff that you need to know in there. And Great Business, Great Life. 2018, I launched this book because Great Business, Great Life was all about in doing business, whether you're working for someone or whether you're running your own business. A lot of businesses, especially Asian businesses, tend to give up a lot of their life in the process of the profitability. Does that make sense, gang? So great business, great life is how you take it back. You make intentional choices, and that book is amazing. So if you're at all any interested, guys, just reach out to my office, the Spark Group Asia. We're based in Bangsa, off Jalan Ma'aruf. Just reach out to my office and we can send it to you, or just type in MPH, those are our publishers, and you'll be able to get a copy for yourself. Of course, you order from my office, I sign a copy for you lah. Okay, so that's also extra incentive. All right, so if you're interested to learn more, and usually that's the case because we can only talk for an hour, we have a limited amount of time, and people want to know more, please go on to the Spark Group Asia YouTube channel, and you can get tons of free advice videos that we've done there, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Sometimes I even tape my whole live video and I put it all up there. So please feel free to go and get access to that. Okay, so let's rock and roll today. All right, are you guys ready to rock and roll? If you are, say yeah. All right, if you have your notebooks, you're ready to take lots of notes, guys, let me know as well before I jump in. All right, yeah, thank you, Nisa, very nice. Now before I jump in, can I get a show of just type it into the comment box because I'm reading everything live. How many of you in this class, you're business owners? If you're business owners, just put BO and the nature of your industry. That's all right, so that I have an idea, because I'm going to be sharing a lot of different stories. I'm going to be sharing with you how other people have done it, because we've done so much research, we've done so much to help businesses in the last year and a half. If you're a business owner, put BO, nature of industry. What industry are you in? Okay, all right. Ming Su Hu is in IT. All right. If you are working in an organization, put leader, comma, what industry? So that I have an idea. Leader, comma, financial. Leader, comma, manufacturing. All right. BO, manufacturing, wet wipes. Fantastic. Very good. This is hygienic. Very, very important these days. Fantastic. Okay, I'm giving a shout out. So guys, you write it in there. Fantastic. We have Devin, leader, training and development. Fantastic. Great stuff. Seng Yan is leader in automotive. Oh, that's fantastic. AK Wu is BO in air pollution control. Oh my gosh, that's so crucial. Guys, keep it coming. Keep it coming. I really do love to be able to hear from you. Now, as we dive in, and you guys keep typing so that I can address your industry. Simon is in retail. Retail is in a very challenging place, but obviously we have a lot of retail business owners that are doing great jobs going on e-commerce, and I'll show you a very, very powerful story later. We have Nazli Hayati, leader in HR in manufacturing. Sweet, fantastic, thank you for being here. MT Chai, leader manufacturing. Chris is a business owner in hospitality training and development. Great stuff. All right, keep it coming, gang. So let's dive in today. All right, let's dive in. So if I can dive into today, I think one of the things that we really have to realize, thank you, Kok Yong. All right, keep it coming, gang, keep it coming. Love it, love it. One of the things that we are realizing today, gang, is if you were to compare the speed of business and the competitiveness of businesses and how we've grown, is it faster now or faster back then? Let's compare 50 years ago. That's also why a lot of people will say it is so much easier. If you've heard it before, it's so much easier to make money 50 years ago, 30 years ago, as compared to now. And why do they say it's easier back then? The big why is, in this state and age, we have this thing called information, and we have this thing called technology. So with information, with technology, because back then, if you had more information than somebody else, you had more connection than somebody else, you could win in business. But now it is just for everyone. The speed of business has just increased leaps, bounds, and folds. Does that make sense? Now, then the question is, the question is whether our teams are ready for that growth. And if you look at the businesses today, Back then, everybody belonged to one generation. But why is it now, with the speed of how things are growing, we actually have multi-generations that have different needs, different wants, and they're all within the same business. And that is causing a cultural difference that a lot of businesses are still learning how to align. So this is very, very extremely powerful for us to know. And if you were to look at consumer behavior, ladies and gentlemen, just look at 10 years ago. 10 years ago, we could, and for those of you who have done it before, I mean, we look 10 years ago, we could even still pick up phone calls from people who want to sell us stuff. There was telemarketing. But now, how many of you actually pick up the phone? You have, number one, you don't have time. And number two, is no longer cold calls, but it's WhatsApp messages. So the conversion process has gone to WhatsApp. It's no longer picking up the phone and calling somebody up that you don't know. Consumer behavior in the last 10 years has changed. In the last 5 years has even changed further, with e-commerce trying to get its feet into Malaysians and consumers. But if you really look, there were still concerns around, hey, do I put my credit card details online? You know, what if somebody hack my phone or hack my computer? How? All that, with the pandemic, just a year and a half ago, early 2020, has just went, and people at every single age don't even think twice about putting their details, even putting money into their e-wallets. Consumer behavior has changed dramatically, okay? And because of that, businesses do need to realize, and this is very, very important, businesses do need to realize, with the advent of the speed of change, it is also showing us there are some businesses that were relevant before, but not relevant anymore. Now, how many of you can point out some of those businesses? Help me out. You probably know. You've seen newspapers that we grew up with, and they used to be, every house had a newspaper. Magazines that we used to read, no longer on the shelf, because the ad business created agencies that were in ad buys and doing big billboards and television advertisements in a very, very short 10 years have already become redundant. Now, this is very important. Look at some of the jobs. Bookkeepers, you know, you would study accounting and you could do some bookkeeping and that was still fine. But now, is that necessary with accounting softwares where a lot of business owners and in-house people are just doing it themselves? Graphic designers, with the advent of, thank you, Patrick, the camera. Oh my gosh, you know, even photography has changed, right, Patrick? Thank you. Thank you, guys. Chat me up inside the comment box because I'm reading everything you say. You guys are beautiful. Love it. Chat me up. Questions, please keep it coming as well. All right. Graphic designers. Guys, have you heard of Canva? Have you heard of Pictostory? Oh my gosh. Video editors. Oops. Okay. So if I can, take a look at some of these, even call centers. So there used to be many, many call centers everywhere. Malaysia also used to be a hub. But if I can, take a look at whether there are still call centers today. There are a lot less. Now, when you understand that, businesses are changing, jobs that are relevant are also changing. And I hazard to think what is going to be in the next 10 years, okay? Now, what has also changed for us tremendously is remote working. Remote working and virtual workplaces are actually acceptable. And now the challenge with a lot of teams is, without that physical ability to bond at offices, without that, how do they build team relationships? How do you know? It used to be such a underrated, and I'll say this, it used to be underrated, the getting together at the pantry, walking by and saying hello to your colleagues, because now you can't. If you actually go on Zoom to talk to someone, you actually have to have an agenda. How do you just say, hey, hi, how are the kids? You know, you can't do that. So if I may, remote working, virtual culture is a new thing that's affecting everyone from the smallest business all the way up. So what does this mean for businesses is, what does this really truly mean is, with the speed of change, the question is your business ready for the future? And I really love what Jacob Morgan is an amazing guy. He wrote The Future of Work. If you haven't read his book, amazing stuff. The future of work, the future of work isn't about age, it is about behavior and attitude. Okay, so this is very, very important, because a lot of time the future of work we think is just new skills. Absolutely not. So today I'm going to talk a lot about how it's beyond skills. Beyond skills. Just take a look at Jeff. Jeff is a business development director. So his job is actually to build business, to go and get more sales and to get more clients on board. So he's in the travel business, but years ago, when they were taking the business from 8 to 20 million, when they were at that status quo, he was actually getting a lot of personal sales by himself. So he was very, very good, by the way. So Jeff was just one of the killer, fantastic. He can bring in all the top biggest clients. But when they had to put a team under him, because when he was a business development manager, he did really well. When you had to be a director, you need to manage the people. And when that happened, he struggled big time. Now, why struggle? Because it's no longer, and how many of you know this, it's no longer about your personal sales. It's no longer about your personal result. It is about you getting results through other people. Now, this was a one-to-one executive coaching program, but we actually took him in 1.5 years to grow the kind of empathy and flexibility of working with others, because it cannot just be about sales targets, because he was failing dramatically with the team that he built because he couldn't get through to them. And this is very, very important, because we see a lot of this in corporate companies, SMEs. We see a lot of this, a lot of business, a lot of if I can, a lot of executives, they work long-term in a company and then they go to being manager. And when we go to being manager, it's not shifted in their mind that they now have to get results through others. It's no longer about me getting the result. But the funny thing in the progression is I become a manager when I've been long enough an executive. I know enough of my work, but a lot of executives become managers by knowing the work. But do they know how to lead? And that shift, because this is true. The same old thinking will get you the same old results. And the same old results are, and it's a feedback loop. It will continue to feed and people spiral, because unless they understand that shift, whatever you continue to think will always continue to develop those. That's exactly what happened to Jeff. Does that make sense, gang? So this is very extremely powerful, because change is not a short-term fix. I will say this, and this is very, very important, because this is the thing. If we all love our variety of food, and one day I ask you to be vegetarian, can be vegetarian or not? Okay, you love all the different types of food lah. Now, and to be vegetarian for 1 day, 2 days, 7 days, 30 days lah. Can it work? Probably. Okay, willpower, right? But when you get to the end of 365 days, are you still the vegetarian? Because this is the thing. When we make changes, and I want you to write this down, the change cannot just happen as doing. It cannot be something that you do as an outer game. Outer game is your skills. If you just change what you do versus who you are, okay, your change will be short-lived, short-term. Does that make sense? So the crux and the problem is there are a lot of businesses out there that prioritize developing their team. Yeah, don't get me wrong. They prioritize developing their team. They prioritize giving them the skills that may send you for training. And many of you here do that, and that's fantastic. However, the question is that work just at the external level, or it has to be done with the inner? It's got to be done together, because that shift is going to create sustainable change. Because a lot of people ask me this. They say to me, Coach Marissa, why is change so hard? I mean, that's the question a lot of people ask me. A lot of organizations ask me as well, because of the cultural shift they need to make. Why is change so hard? I let them know, actually, change is not hard. Change is easy. Tomorrow you can be vegetarian, what? It is sustainable change. that is a whole other matter. Does that make sense? So this is very, very powerful. Another example, okay? I love using examples, guys, because when you see the examples, you will also know what your own company is going through, okay? Many of us are undergoing transformation. We're dedicated to transformation, but why is it not working? Amy is a chief financial officer, CFO, of a property management group. So it's not a small company, and she's a chief financial officer. And if I can, she's had years of experience. So she's probably in her 50s, closing 60s lah. For the longest time, Amy has been told, and she has the highest turnover in her accounting department. So she has to manage like 6 accountants to manage different groups. And in her department, she's got very, very high turnover. People just almost say, I cannot work with her. After 6 months, they want to leave. And there's a lot of investment of recruiting somebody and then placing them there and then training them again. So Amy was starting to get burnt out. Like what was going on? And because people keep being new in her department, she found herself taking the work home. When she take the work home, she becomes the bottleneck. And then she wonders, but I know, Marissa, I know I need to delegate. Yes, delegate is action, and she's learned it, by the way. Lo and behold, we found this. Can you see this chart? Lo and behold, we found this chart because Amy wants change. She wants to change. She wants a difference. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a snapshot of the behavior intelligence tool that I will talk to you more about later. But this snapshot showed us as the coaches, this lady wanted change. She's game, but she was stepping on the brakes. And when we dug deeper and deeper and deeper, you see, that's where we go deep into the beliefs and the value system. We found out what? There was a fear of training someone new because they could take over her job. How many of you understand that? How many of you can see that happening in your organizations? Now, this is very, very important because when we got to that, we could start to create the shift, but we had to read the behavior first. This is very, very important. So as you start to realize, this identity iceberg carries the formula for a lot of what we do. We realize that everybody here, business owners, leaders, training, development companies, all of you, you must realize that just hacking at the leadership actions is not good enough. Leaders and business owners are going through tons of training right now, whether it's on Udemy videos, LinkedIn Learning, there are a ton of videos, right? But where's the transformation? Because this is governed by, your actions and your behaviors are governed by what you believe, what you hold true, what are your values, what's important to you, your identity as a leader. Now, all this in the pandemic, in COVID-19, is being shaken to the core. Now, to make it even more confusing, because business owners, leaders, heads of departments now all have to work at home, right? When you work at home, when you go to the office, you wear your CEO hat, you wear your COO hat. When you're at home, your 3 kids are running around you. How? So are you mother, father, or a senior manager? How? So you see, if I can, that bottom part of the iceberg, this carries a lot of the shift that's necessary for all the earlier challenges. If you look at the earlier challenges, I told you about the speed of business. I told you about all the changes. Now, these are all real and all of you know it. But the question is, do business people know it? This is not an individual iceberg, and I want you to write this down. Can you imagine this iceberg for your business? This is your organization's iceberg. So where, if you want a certain amount of results, okay, I want to explore exports, you know, I want to be able to work with the tier ones, you know, I want to be able to do that. If that's what you want as a vision, or overall goal of your business, where is the mindset of your team? Are they ready for that change? You need to ask, do you have the culture for that change? This is very, very crucial, because if you can realize that, this is a very important part of realizing this shift needs to happen. I'll tell you very, very shortly how we do it. Another very powerful example, this is a mid-sized software development company. And how many of you know in companies, sales director and operations director are like chicken and duck. Chicken and duck. Oh, so sorry, don't use chicken and duck lah. Yeah, chicken and duck still friends. Can run around the farm one. They are like dog and cat. Dog and cat, you know, they see a cat around, they go after. So sales director was at the neck of the operation director, and of course the other way around as well. So it's very pissed off, very conflicting and very confusing for employees. How do we work together? These two up here takao, fighting, right? How? Now, it's not unnatural. I'll say this. It is not unnatural, very common when we go in. This too, because why? Sales people are about performance. It's about the customer. It's about the targets. Operations is about quality. It's about fulfillment. Look, you don't go out there and talk all kinds of things. We have to deliver, ma. Now, it is truly a natural conflict. But when that happened and prolonged, what happened to the company is they started to struggle because there was a lack of alignment. It also started to brew politics. Now, this is very, very unbelievable, but when they worked that together, customer reviews went up. And if you take a look at here, so let me go to this little corner. Guys, can you see this? Can you see all this small little chart at the corner? The small little chart is showing you the difference in the behaviors. Okay, the dark line is the sales director and the light blue line is the operations director. So can you see the behaviors are just different? And if I can, you look carefully at the photo. For those of you who are looking at the photo, look carefully at the photo. Macam very friendly, very chummy. Okay, I tell you what, in this company, the sales and the operations director, kid you not and wait for it, is husband and wife. Habis, pom. The amount of challenges, and it also started to take a toll on their family, not just the business, but on their family. So if I can, this is very, very important to note because this is a difference of behavior. And when you look at the difference of behavior, let me come to a very important point, and I'm going to try and share it. How many of you realize that in any a given business, we have different phases of business, you know? So different phases of business where you start and you finish something. So I'll give you an example. We start marketing campaigns. We start projects, all right? We start migration. So whatever it is, there's always a start and an end, correct? So regardless of whether you're in manufacturing, regardless of whether you're in weddings, you're in retail, you're whatever, okay? Now, this is the crux. If you are starting something, you're in a planning mode. You're ideating, you're creating, starting from scratch, isn't it? And when you're in execution, you're following through. You got all these ideas, you put it down into the plan, and then you're okay, boom, 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 boom. That's follow through, that's execution mode, right? And then when you are getting to the tail end, you get into what we call a review. When you get into review, you're investigating. Okay, we took this particular campaign, this worked, and that didn't work. Okay, next time we do more of this. Okay, last time we worked with this vendor. Okay, this vendor was good, this vendor like that. Okay, investigate, compare, right? Thank you, Patrick. Difference in business stages too in terms of volume and growth. Thank you very much, Patrick. Fantastic. And then when we get to the end, we conclude the whole project, campaign, whatever. We get into motivating and inspiring. Now, the question that I have for you is, can I be the same person throughout all these phases? Can I be the same person? What do you guys think? Boleh ke I am the same person throughout this whole thing? Can I be? What do you guys think? Nisa, no, thank you. Siapa lagi? No right and wrong, No right and wrong. Very, very good. Keep it coming, guys. What do you think? Nurul, no. Chris, Anthony, no. Very good. Some more. Keep it coming, guys. Wow. You guys are awesome. Erdalia, no. Very good. Okay. Now, this is the thing. Thank you, David. Beautiful. You guys are beautiful. Now, the answer is no, but many people are like that. Now, we academically know no. Yes, thank you, Patrick. Different strategies. Thank you. We academically know it's a no, but we have leaders or business owners that are very good at this and bring the same thought process into execution and bring the same thought process. So if I can, the challenge is when we are not wearing different behaviors at different phases of a business. This is the simplest format of starting and ending. So we can already identify that we cannot wear the same behaviors. And this is very, very important because behaviors must be contextualized. So I want to say this. If you look at the bottle, whatever bottle I use, whatever container I use, it is the context, right? So whether I use, I take one bottle and I put pennies, I put sand, I put water, I put mud, I put whatever lah. The content will still shape according to the container. Does that make sense? So if I can, there is no bad behavior. No bad behavior. So there's no like bad type of content. All the content will follow the container at the end of the day. So behaviors, there's no bad behavior. I want you to write this down. There's only such a thing as a mismatch of behavior to the right context. And what this means is, thank you, and I think Patrick has clued into this a little bit already, is that if you realize that there's no bad behavior, there's no there's and this is the debate the debate of why whether employees should work fast or work slow. How many of you have heard that? Yeah, sometimes you got to be fast, and then sometimes you got to be slow. Sometimes you got to be global macro. Sometimes you got to be micro. You got to be micro instead of macro. Now, if I may, this is the true understanding of the right behavior to apply in the right context. And what is the context? The context that we have to be aware of is the scope of work. What are we doing? What is the type of job? Are you training your employees or are you reading a legal document? Can you see the behaviors? That's important. The kind of results. Is it a sales result, talking to a customer, or is it a customer service fulfillment? And another thing on context is, who are you working with? Are you working with somebody that's fast-paced, or are you working with somebody that's stabler pace? I don't say slow, stabler pace. Now, when you realize that behavior is importantly something that must be contextualized, and this is where we teach our participants, we teach our leaders, we teach our business owners how to be, and I want you to wait for it, flexible. Because true and effective leadership is all about flexibility, it's about agility, and it's about adaptability. And this is important. If I take my hand, I take one hand, and I put a pencil here. This is a pen. I put a pencil here. And then I take my other hand and I put a rubber band there. Okay. Which one am I likely to break with one hand effort? Which one do you think I'm likely to break with one hand effort? Pencil to rubber band? What do you think? Which one will I break with one hand effort? Pencil or rubber band? What do you guys think? Pencil. Thank you, Sok Ling. Very good. Nurul Huda, thank you. Okay. This is very important. Thank you, guys. The pencil will break with one hand's effort. Have you tried to break a rubber band with one hand? You will chao-kan, get a cramp here, Now, if I can, that is the the truest form of leadership is our ability to be agile. And the ability to be agile gives us resilience. The resilience is not just going to come out here. That transformation is going to come in here because we have the true agility to use the right behavior for the right context where we can get the most results. This is very, very important in leadership intelligence. And many leaders don't know this secret. And when they don't know how to do it. And it's not their fault. I'll give you another example. And this is a very, very powerful example. I've taken a lot of technical specialists, So I'll give you a very simple example of a programmer. So he started his career being very, very good at managing his own tasks, you know, and coding and finding problems. And he grew in his career, and then suddenly becomes CTO. You know, nowadays CTO very young, right? Suddenly becomes CTO, and I got 10 programmers part under you. And then the CTO find that he's not coding anymore. His job is to manage people, and I manage so many different types of people. Any given time, we're managing so many different types of people. Can you imagine if I'm managing all these types of people and I don't know who I am? And that's a very important task, is to first know who we are. What behaviors are we displaying? Okay, so this is important. This is the AccuMatch Behavior Intelligence report. I am showing you one page, which is the summary, which is only page 3, but there are actually 26 pages, all right? These are all the meta programs that we encourage all business owners, leaders, senior heads of departments. I encourage you to learn, but more importantly, is you learn yourself first, okay? And what are all these different parts is, number one, the Behavior Intelligence report teaches you how to execute. When you execute, are you an initiator? Are you a reflector? You know, before you take action, you think first, think. Are you a person that need procedure, need step by step? Are you somebody that make changes rapid or stable? Notice I don't use the word slower, because people that make changes slower than the others is not necessarily a bad thing, because they have more attention to detail than the one yang cepat. Does that make sense? Decision programs, how you make decisions. Oh my gosh, that is becoming so obvious in today's day and age, because we are no longer sitting at the office and seeing each other work. We're not in the same place anymore. Can you imagine if we're not sitting in the same place? How do I know what you are considering? I cannot just roll my chair over. Ni punya project, how do I do this? Roll my chair over. This customer, how do I can't do that anymore. I need to go on Zoom. I need to be very intentional when I ask, but more so, do I know my team members and how they are making decisions? This is a very intentional tool to be able to highlight all that. And the last one is how you learn, how you consume information from your own experiences. This 3 gives you a lot of information about who you are. Because more so, we use these tools to coach with precision. So when we begin any coaching program, one-to-one or in a group, we take everybody's behavior and then we do a before and after. It becomes very, very intentional, because this is one of the programs that we did, yeah? So I don't know whether you are familiar with this company. This is one of the largest FMCG fast mover consumer groups in the region. So they have offices in Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, and they are responsible for the brands Vanish, Airwick, Harpic, Jif, yeah. So they've got a lot of brands under their wing, and they're expanding. So if I can, the expansion was so great during the pandemic. It almost was their year 2019 to year 2020. Sales went through the roof because people all want to bersih, clean, right? Because we want to get rid, we want to sanitize, right? So their sales went through the roof, okay? And then they did a HR survey. Everybody was very unhappy. Everybody was not, banyaknya kerja, oh my God, I'm getting burnt out, anxiety. So they had a mix of information when they did their HR survey. And not worse, but on top of it, their 2021 target was 65% higher than 2020. So Dala, oh my gosh. And the reason I share this with you, this powerful example, is there are some businesses in the pandemic that are doing really, really well, and they cannot take the sudden surge in performance. How many of you know what I mean? And how many of you know that when this pandemic is done, we are buka, okay, which is soon lah, hopefully, there is going to be a flood of people that want to recover, and the economy is going to go. And the question is, like this company, they were not ready for the growth. They didn't know COVID-19 is going to send all of our sales through the roof. They didn't know that. But if I'm telling you this now, and if you know you are going to prepare your team for this surge, what will you now do differently? This is very, very powerful because this is crucial. Look at the team dynamics that I see. Okay, so guys, you will see like a bunch of lines now, but we are all well trained to look at all these behaviors. What you see on right and left are two marketing teams. Marketing is very important because I need to be able to get the sales in. I need to be able to create the branding opportunities. I need to brand these products, and I got to expand it, right? So these two marketing teams, all right, we actually did 6 teams altogether, but there are 2 that I'm showing you. What you are going to notice from the team dynamics here is when we put the marketing managers and brand managers together, some were more ready for change than the other. So if you take a look at this chart, okay, this particular team, reflect, thinking a lot. And when they think a lot, they are thinking inward. They are thinking inward. That means their decision reference is internal. All right. Let me explain this to you. It gets a bit technical. But when it is internal, decision reference is internal. What they should be doing is up to them. It's in themselves. It's their own prerogative. It's like the GPS is inside. They are not as open to external input as this team. Can you see that, gang? Okay, and this team is not so high reflector. See all the lines here? This one is very strong. They're thinking, considering, thinking, considering. So when you know this, very simple. Of course, I share the simplest things at this moment. Of course, there are a lot of other points that we consider when we build a program to transform the leaders. We realize that teams are open to change at different levels, different pace. And is this important to know? Yes, so that we can do something about it. Very, very powerful, because this is it. If you realize the cultural transformation, because what you saw just now is actually cultural. What you saw just now are basically behaviors that form the culture. Okay. Now, why is that important for you? Is that when you can see the intelligences, the behaviors that are tugging and pulling, and some of them are good, some of them are not getting results. Okay, some resourceful, some unresourceful. You get to address the behaviors that will lead to the culture that you want. So a lot of people are trying to change the culture, but they cannot see the behaviors that are holding it there. And if I can, when you have a chart like this that shows all the behaviors up, number 1, transparency. Okay, so you can see everybody's behavior, who is tugging and pulling. All right, you can also, with the team, make decisions. Is this behavior useful, or is that behavior useful? You can make decisions. Again, it's transparent, it's facilitated through coaching. Another thing that you also realize is this, and I want you to note number 2. What we find, especially corporations that have been around for a long time, they've been around for 10, 20, 50, 100 years. And some of the companies that we're dealing with are the second generation, the third generation is taking over. Sometimes when the business has been around for a long time, how many of you know what I mean? There's a little bit of autopilot behavior. Autopilot means complacency. Okay, when you have that, when you see the behaviors, you can also see the bar is very big because people have gotten complacent, autopilot, and write this down, unconscious. It's almost as though they don't know they are behaving that way. Patrick, yes, they are following the status quo. And then you can hire new people, okay? You hire new people. Okay, I want you to shake it up. All these old timers here, 20 years in the business. I want you to shake it up, This poor new fella come in. After that, culture shock. What happens? If they cannot create the change, what happens? They leave. So if I can, culture is not a one-person thing, a one-department thing. It is an everyone thing. Okay, but the beginning of culture is, and I want you to note the last para at the bottom, is this is the power of what we're doing, is before the action must come, because a lot of people, action equals results. No. One step before that, I want you to write it down. Awareness if somebody is aware, oh my gosh, I'm like that, oh my gosh, this is what's happening to our department. When there's awareness times action, baru results. Does that make sense? So awareness is 50% of the work. Wow, this is another one. And I just love sharing all these examples with you because we have literally been hard at work working with all these companies. Okay, so this company, have you seen this word before? This is just always how we have done it. Okay, so this company is not an old company. They've been around for about 12, 13, 15 years. All right, they started off as a backpacker. So they own plots of land in Kuala Lumpur, and they started with a backpacker called Back Home. And then, you know, it was run by the owner and then one long-term staff that stayed long. And then they have a lot of employees that stay for a long time. So the average stay was about 8, 9 years. So you imagine, amazing. But because the group grew from a backpacker into the restaurant, and then they went on to develop, recently they've launched Chloe, it's a boutique hotel, and then they've launched another set of condominiums, again, that one's based in Bangsar. They've gone on to really expand and develop many properties, so much so they also have a management company. And the thing is, at such a big group, people started to become very complacent. And how we started to know this is nobody challenges each other in the team meeting. Everybody's very compliant, peacekeeping. Now we started to see that because, look at this. This is very important. Most of the senior managers in this group were very high consensus. High consensus means, okay, let's not rock the boat. If that's the way we do it, okay, if that's how he says it, that's what she says, okay, just do it that way. As Patrick says, just follow lah, status quo, okay? If I can, the transformation after 24 months, of course, it's not overnight, please don't expect that, but after 24 months, went through a grueling process. Of course, somebody had to leave, all right? But they adjusted clear expectations of their values. And in the pandemic, you know, hotels all, you know, cannot open, right? Restaurant, retail, also all just F&B delivery. They dedicated this pandemic, okay, they didn't retrench anybody. They dedicated this pandemic to training and coaching. Okay, so they invested even more on top of already paying the operational expenditures that they have to pay. All right. This is another very, very powerful company. And if I may, I just love sharing her story. So just bear with me for a bit. Just bear with me, because this particular company, and I don't know earlier, siapa inside retail tadi, please share with me. If you're in retail and you're having the worst time of your life, hear this out, okay? So Claire Organics is actually a retail company. They have 5, and if I'm not mistaken, I think 5 outlets all across the Klang Valley. And when MCO hit, year 2020 was the year she had 0 retail revenue for 4 months. Year 2020, she was crying bullets. Shopping mall cannot help her. Rental cannot go down, because shopping mall is also a business, right? We cannot say, "Ayah, you're so big, give me discount lah." They also have bills to pay. So Mati also have to pay. She didn't retrench any of her employees. She kept them all. In fact, she also hired. But I'll tell you why she hired, because she managed to, and I kid you not, in her annual revenues in year 2020, compared to financial year end 2019, she garnered a 20% increase in year 2020, which is also called the pandemic year. Her 2020 increase in sales was the highest that she's ever had in all the years that she's run her business. Okay, so without further ado, I want you to hear from her what she has done. Okay.
Before engaging a coach, my business has been go on for almost 8 years without having a proper vision, without a culture, without a mission. And I've never done team alignment, and I have never done appraisal and KPI for my team. to me, it's important to have all those. Ever since I've learned how to use each of this, in terms of when I'm conducting my team meeting, I know what to do in specific area. Example, smart board. I know what are the numbers to look at to see how my teams are performing. The reason why I want to get a coach is when trace back to during the preview session with coach. That was what she mentioned in the preview session. Actually, it's like a quick light bulb for me. It's something that reminds me that I have been looking for many years, for so long. I have been wanting to have my vision, mission and culture for my own brand, and I have been wanting to bring my team to the next level, because my business is like stagnant somewhere already. So once I get into her preview, it's something I have been looking for. This is it. So I was telling myself during that pandemic season, you know, where all the bosses are squeezing their budget and everyone is tightening their belts, and I was telling myself, if not now, then when? Because this has been I have been looking for this for so long, so why not just let's do it? And I believe this is the one thing that most people wouldn't do during this period, and I have done it, is to engage Coach Marissa. I have been with Coach for almost a year, and in less than 3 months, I have already owned my very official vision, mission and culture, which I'm very happy with. And in less than 4 months, I did my first team alignment. And in less than 6 months, I have launched my very first kind of show, which is we took my branding to another level. And part of the kind of show also is Coach Marissa's effort to unleash my hidden talent, which I wouldn't believe that I can do it before that. And in less than 7 months, I've also done a Christmas campaign, we call it Santa Claus, that pushed my Christmas sales target to 300%. And overall, last year's in less than I think 7 months for the first year I have with Coach, my sales revenue increased 20%. So this is something very, very impressive. Great life now is I can see myself spend less time micromanaging my team. From there, I have more of my own time doing what I want to do, whether or not for more time for my family and more time for my own self-improvement. And with time less spending in managing my team, I have more time focused more on working on the business and bringing the business to the next level. My advice is you have to give yourself fully engaged in the program. Especially like my case, my coach has opened up my eyes to help me see all the blind spots that I don't see in my business, and she will help me to see it from different perspectives. And also she will push myself and my team to step out from our comfort zone, and that unleash our full potential, the hidden talents that she brings out. And also in the end, of course, ultimately we want to grow our business. That coach helps me a lot in bringing my business to the next level. My advice to other business owners is, if your business is stagnant right now, or if you are experiencing some very badly hit by the pandemic especially, or if you feel like your business is not moving into the direction that you wish it's going to be, and I think that's when you need to engage a coach to come in to help you to see all the perspective that you can improve. I believe if I have started this earlier, my business could have scaled to another level already. Achievement that I have mentioned above wouldn't be possible without Coach Marissa. She is such a very engaging, very motivating, and a true visionary, and she helps me to see where my business should be heading, and now we have a very clear picture of where the direction is. And my team, especially the when we engage in the team alignment, I can see the high emotion. Thank you, Coach Marissa, and thank you for being there when every time I feel hopeless or helpless, and thank you for being so positive when the time is hard, and thank you for making everything seem so possible. And I'm truly grateful to have such a committed coach to care about what we are doing, and not just a mentor itself, and a very committed coach that I always wanted to have. And I know I can always find a breather in your session, in your every session. I can always come out alive and ready to take the next challenge. Great business, great life.
So gang, the reason I share that with you, just understand that you are not alone. And a lot of businesses out there, it can feel really lonely and isolated. And if I can, taking your business to the next level, what she has done are a lot of what people wouldn't do. So, and if I can, Claire Organics is now, they started off retail. They went heavily into e-commerce. Just go and add them as well on Facebook and Instagram and the Nevertheless. But they are also manufacturing their own products. She is poised for exports, as well as taking advantage of halal. So she's positioning herself in ways that she never thought possible, going into multi-million-dollar revenue targets, and which she never imagined. And so if I can, it is a process of leading change inside out. It's not about just changing the things that we do, but it's our own mindset and our own beliefs. And if I can, it came down to, this is a shift. And without going through this, I just again want to share with you that the structure is very, very clear for what we do. And if I may, we are working very closely with Shrdc to provide these programs to your members. And why is this something that I'm showing you? Is because it is actually a very intentional effort to address not just the leadership actions, but the skills necessary in growing leaders, making sure that managers are enabling the potential of others, as well as their leadership matrix. So at all these levels, our programs sew up exactly what you saw just now by enabling the belief system and the values and the change that's necessary in a transformation, regardless of how big the business. All this must come together because this is crucial. If I may, these are some of the programs, and please talk to Shrdc if any of this is something that's useful for you, because the key here is this: we are coaching leaders to use coaching skills, because coaching skills is about enabling, it's about empowering, it's about working well with people. And this is very, very important. As you can see, the differences is we lead change from the inside out. We don't just talk about external strategies. Every one of the work that we do is quantifiable, is behavioral change at the end of the day. And boards love it, companies love it. Why? Because the change is, there's accountability in the changes in their team. It's not just a cultural shift where people start feeling good, feeling happy, but we get to start managing the change through behavior. And last but not least, the changes lead to business results. The reason I share this with you, ladies and gentlemen, is a lot of people think that we only do work with SMEs. That's one team, small and medium enterprise, but we're also doing a lot of corporate work as well. So if you belong to a corporate, you're here and you're maybe a learning and development manager from a multinational company, bear in mind that we've also done a lot of work with MNCs, as I shared with you earlier. The transformation, of course, takes longer because there are more people. In SMEs, it's faster. But if I can, we have teams that are supporting both these initiatives. Taking a look at some of our programs are entirely, the reason I'm sharing this with you is you can see our before and after. So take a look at one person that we've coached, before, after, all right? Before, after. So just to share with you, all of our programs are extremely accountable because the common issues that we handle with executives, leaders are as follows. Yeah, so we've been doing a lot of work, especially. So we have leaders and entrepreneurs that are confused. They're not sure what decisions to make. Time management problems, this is truly an issue. This leads to burnout. exhaustion, stress management, delegation, just, sometimes they're too used to doing the work on their own, they don't know how to delegate, and also working with team. So these are some of the common issues that we deal with, gang. So I'm just sharing this with you. And last but not least, before I get into some Q&A, everybody, I just want to share with you a final quote. Okay, final quote is this. And I love what John C. Maxwell shared, because this was epic. Everybody has just so many versions of leadership, so many versions of what they think leadership is. And I love how simple John Maxwell just put it, because he says this: anybody who thinks that they are a leader, all right, and this is so powerful, anybody who thinks that they are a leader and doesn't have anyone following them is just taking a walk. And this is so powerful, because leadership is just taking a look around. And to me, that is just at the simplest form, where if our team can understand what we want, if our team can get into our mind, if our team can at a fraction have the values that we have, the business and the organization would run so much further, so much smoother, even in the pandemic. And my advice for many of us, because we've been doing all this hard at work for many SMEs, this pandemic is the time to invest in the business. It is the best time, because there's very little operation, there's very little that you can do, but it is the best time to really harness the potential of your team if you're in a position to, because this is the thing. The pandemic is temporary, but businesses are a legacy, and you are part of that legacy. So thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to end here, but I think we have a bit of a poll to run. So if Marissa from Shrdc can help me, and then we're going to get into some Q&As in a bit. All right.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Marissa, for the wonderful sharing and on leadership. So, guys, before we move on with the we open the floor for Q&A questions. All right, for Marissa, I'm just going to launch a quick poll for all so all attendees can answer. So it should appear on your screen right now.
So as people are completing the poll, is it all right, Marissa, for me to address some of the questions? I think they are really good questions.
Yeah, yes, of course. I think the first question would be from Patrick Wong. Maybe you can address that first, because I think he's done answering. Yeah.
Sure. So very, very good question. After trying and coaching, after training and coaching some of the team member, if they do not follow, then how? All right. So this is very, very good. Thank you so much, Patrick. In our experience, when we train and we coach a team and we align people to very clear values, yeah, and the values are not from us, the values are from the company. So we actually have to do a strategy call to understand the values of the company. Okay, and then when we begin a coaching program, and the typical coaching programs are between 3 months, yeah, and if there are people that are not aligned, all right, do not follow lah, not aligned, it will start to be very obvious. Okay, now when I say very obvious, most of the time people start to change. You have your early adopters, and then they'll start changing, they'll start making the right sounds, all right, because we facilitate all this. But when you have people that get to the end and don't change, still insist on being the same, usually they drop out. And when they drop out, that's also a sign and a signal where the coach does have conversations. Now, if we've done all of that with the delinquents, I would say, still don't want to follow. We've done all that. All we can do from the coaching facilitation standpoint is to give the report back to decision makers in the company, and you guys can make that decision. All right. In our experience, most people will go along. The challenge that we find is when the program is short-lived, all right, it doesn't continue, then people go back to their old ways. So there needs to be a continuation. And what we encourage organizations that are bigger, so Patrick, I don't know how big the company is for you. When the company is bigger, we encourage the leaders to have coaching skills, because how the change is more sustainable is that every leader is a coach. So it's not just, you know, having to rely on the coaches and the facilitators to come in and run programs and then people motivated for a while, you know. It's very normal. People are motivated for a while and then after that, after a few days, few weeks, go back to normal. It's that's very common. So if I can, how we want to make this more sustainable is that the leaders, all right, know how to coach and they can maintain that momentum, and we want to teach them how to keep doing that as well. Okay, so sorry, Patrick, for the long answer for your very, very good question. Another very, very good question came up with what to be ready when the pandemic is over and the market opens up. Okay, so this is a very, very good question. Okay, thanks, Patrick. Very good. A lot of people ask me this question. Again, depends whether you're an SME or you're a corporate. When I say corporate, means you got more people and all that. Huh? Now, for SMEs, and I do these webinars. In fact, I'm doing one tomorrow afternoon. I call it Resilient Proof Your Business. All right. This webinar actually talks about building the leverage. The leverage system, especially for SMEs, that this is truly crucial. And I think Sok-Ling will agree with me as well. It is the need for digitalization. Digitalization for SMEs is what will help the doing part to be more resilient. Okay. Now, in the resilience, the doing part, setting up the processes, setting up the softwares to put most of our manual procedures up onto systems, softwares, and apps. Now is the best time to do it. Now is the best time to chart out your process flow, best time to churn it out, best time to migrate using more powerful CRMs, best time to use all these apps to digitalize your front end, your customer facing, and your back end with what your employees are managing for your cost, your inventory management, all that. So this is very, very important system-wise. For team, all right, best thing to do, if I can, pandemic is over, is to build the bonds in the team. Get people to know each other. A lot of programs that we are running now, a lot of employees don't know each other. They didn't know each other the way that they, oh my gosh, now, oh, no wonder you buat kerja macam ni. No wonder you are like that. No wonder you are like this. When they know it, they know how to be flexible. And when they are flexible, they become more resilient. So if I can, SMEs, SME banner, here and here, team and systems. But if you want to know more, Patrick, tomorrow I run another free webinar at 2 p.m. Just go to my website and you will be able to see it. That's for SMEs, okay, where we're hard at work helping SMEs to transform. But if you're corporate, yeah, you can talk to SHRDC a little bit more. And SHRDC, I think at the end of the day, does a lot of very, very good work with helping businesses to strategize what they need to do with the team. All right, so this is very, very important. If any of you are interested, please reach out to Marissa or Muniz, who will be able to help you to put some of these programs together. Does that make sense, gang? So thank you very much.
Meanwhile, I will just end the poll and share the results for today's for the questions. All right.
Okay.
All right. So can you guys see the results here? Marissa, are you able to see the full result?
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes, I can.
78% attendees answer. I think there are a few number of 2 or 3 person who had issues with submitting it. But I think this is the overall.
Can I share?
Yes,
can I share, Marissa? Oh, nice. Okay. So this is very, very powerful because we have amazing group of leaders here. So I want you to peel into the challenges that other leaders like yourself are also having. So the top one on leadership challenges is alignment of goals and targets. Okay, so that's the number 1 leadership challenge that a lot of people are having, is not being able, that maybe there are too many people and different people see a different way of doing the same thing. All right, and that's very, very troublesome for the team. That's also where conflicts can happen. But thank you very much for sharing. Can I also get you to write this down, gang? Okay, thank you, Devin. Thank you, AK Wool. Love it. Fantastic. Okay. Number 2, okay, and I want you to write this down. Number 2 on the list is leadership challenge, multi-generational team. Have to manage people at different generations, okay? So that is a challenge. The third one, and I want you to write this down, so I'm going to lay down the top 3. The third one is a lack of empathy among key leaders and teams. You know, this is an issue that was very hard, not very common before the pandemic, but it's becoming very common now because people are working at home and they don't feel the support from the team. Okay, so this is getting more real in the space of team development. I'm also very happy that many of you are ready to explore leadership development initiatives. So this is something that you can have conversations with SHRDC. Please go to SHRDC social media, their Facebook page, to explore more events like these. And also, please, I think Marissa is going to share it shortly, the next 2 webinars where we will go deep dive into a lot more of this issue. So if you already like the sound of today, we are going to go into it 2 more times. So a lot of really cool stuff coming up. Yeah. Nisa has shared the Spark Group Asia events, so you can go there. Tomorrow's webinar will be there as well for those of you who want to know what to build in the business. All right.
Marissa, Coach Marissa, there's one last question.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's from Chris. Lack of organization value often leads to misalignment.
Oh, yes. Okay. Chris, that is fantastic. Because I always say this, and I didn't go into a lot of detail with that today. And I always say this: in any organization, there will always be a culture. Okay, so the challenge with culture is whether it is an intentional culture that is driven by the leaders of the organization, or it's a culture that people bring in from wherever they come in. So, like it or not, there will be a culture. It's just whether or not it will be yours. It is an intentional culture. It is what you intended to build for your team. Because there will be a culture, it will come from all different walks of life because all your employees come from everywhere, isn't it? And that's the thing, is if we don't align, thank you so much, Chris Anthony, we don't align, we don't intentionally build it into the team and have them understand it and put it into their meta. They have to walk and believe it. If that's not done, a culture will be there nevertheless, okay? Whether it is going to serve our overall organizational direction, and that is very, very crucial. Okay, so very, very good, Chris. That is fantastic. Thank you very much. Awesome, Patrick. Thank you. I love all your smiley faces.
All right, so as you guys are probably aware, like Marissa mentioned earlier, so under the Resilient Leadership series, we have a total of 3 webinars. So this being the first series, and so this is our second poster, our second webinar series poster, and it will be on the topic on roadmap from specialist to people manager, with 2 subtopics here: transition from subject matter expert to people matter expert, and as well enabling both performance culture and coaching culture in your people. All right, so this will be happening in around 2 weeks time, I believe. It will be on 8 July at the same time at 10:30 to 11:30. All right, and it will be on 8 July. So just if you guys are interested to join this series again with Marissa, please be sure to like and follow our SHRDC Facebook page, because at SHRDC we are actively providing seminars, webinars, and training programs all throughout the year. All right, so we have very highly active number of events and such as a webinar series. So please like our Facebook page to keep up with what we have to offer to you guys. Okay, so I think that's everything. And if all attendees, any attendees of you guys are interested to know more about SHRDC and what we have to offer, so these are the contact details. So you can just directly contact us or WhatsApp, or just go to our social medias and feel free to ask anything, okay? So with that, I would like to thank everybody on behalf of Shrdc for attending this webinar series with Marissa Ang, and I would also like to thank Marissa for your very highly motivating, inspiring session with us today.